Hey everyone, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Tuesday night, so it's time to read another Choose Your Own Adventure. This one is Choose Your Own Adventure number 77, The First Olympics, written by Ben M. Baglio. Read the back cover. You're the star, 16 exciting endings. You are a contestant in the first Olympics. You and your cousin Felix are touring the Olympic ruins in Greece. Because Felix, that's a ancient Greek. Oh wait, no, we're not. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me try that again. You and your cousin Felix are touring the Olympic ruins in Greece when you wander into a dark cave. Suddenly you find yourself caught up in a procession of athletes that passes ivory white temples along the road. You have traveled back in time to the ancient Olympic Games. The contests are about to begin, and now you're a competitor. Will you sign up to compete in the wrestling event, or test your skills as a chariot driver? If you decide to participate in the wrestling event, turn to page 88. If you choose to enter the chariot race instead, turn to page 44. But be careful. In ancient Greece, you might encounter the wrath of the mighty god Apollo, or be turned into a marble statue. Or you might win your event and be crowned an Olympic champion. What happens next in the story? It all depends on the choices you make. How does the story end? Only you can find out. And the best part is that you can keep reading and rereading and rereading until you've had not one, but many incredibly daring experiences. Hey, Rob. Body slams and leg locks to choose. Hey Rachel, Greece is the word. You just like wander into a dark cave, just whoops. Just wandered into this dark cave. Oh, and there's a closer look of the front cover. Look at that. All right, and then we all know that the same four kids like Choose Your Own Adventures over and over again. They sure do. I love the control I have over what happens next by the 17-year-old. And teachers like Choose Your Own Adventures too. All right, that's how they did wrestling back then. It's pretty authentic, I guess. It's illustrated. It's an Edward Packard book. It is illustrated by Leslie Morrill. Doesn't say whether they did the front cover or just the inside illustration, so I guess they did all of it this time. Is that William Cat on the chariot? It might be. Believe it or not, it might be him. See, he doesn't know how to ride the chariot because he forgot the he lost the instruction book. There, if we. I guess so. That's how we get turned to stone, right? Either that or ELO is there. Turning to stone. All right, let's get started with this. This was originally published in March 1988. Yeah, maybe we'll get turned into sharks this time for no reason. Warning. Do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you may have during your visit to the first Olympic Games. From time to time as you read along, you will be asked to make a choice. Your choice may lead to success or to disaster. The adventures you take are a result of your choice. You are responsible because you choose. After you make your choice, follow the instructions to see what happens to you next. Think carefully as you compete in the ancient games. You could become an Olympic champion if you make the right choices. Good luck. You'll need it. We trip on some marbles. Oh no. I'm going to trip on these marbles, yo. Yeah, I'm just going to sit here. That must be one of the gods or something, That's kind of what they do all day long. Just sit there and watch humans suffer. A note to the reader. No one is certain exactly when the first Olympics were held. The Games originated as part of a religious festival in western Greece. Over the course of many years, this festival grew in size and importance. Games were added, temples, buildings, and athletic facilities were constructed, and the popularity of the Olympics spread throughout the entire ancient world. The first recorded Olympic Games were held in 776 BC, but the Olympics reached their peak around 500 BC, which is the approximate setting for this book. The first Olympics remains fairly accurate in reconstructing the ancient games. Yeah, right. In ancient Greece, however, no females were permitted anywhere on the sacred Olympic plane, either as athletes or as spectators. This was such a strict rule that any female found at Olympia was pushed off a nearby cliff. Okay, that's not extreme at all. Also, the Olympic athletes were required to compete wearing no clothing at all. This tradition is said to have arisen from an instance where a woman, dressed as a man, was found among the contestants. I guess it could be kind of hard to hide that you're a woman if you all have to be naked. From that point on, all athletes had to forsake clothing during the games. I don't know what's happening there. I think that's... Does that mean this book is only going to be dudes competing then, if it's supposed to be historically accurate? Or it says fairly accurate, so maybe that part's not accurate. Arisen. This tradition is said to have arisen. I know, women's ruined the Olympics. Alright, whoops. So like it just started in the middle of something. Okay, just making sure. And on your right are the remains of the Hippodrome, where the Olympic horse and chariot races were held. It's early morning, and you and Felix, your pain-in-the-neck little cousin, are following a guide to the ruins at Olympia, the site of the ancient Olympic Games in western Greece. You've looked forward to this summer vacation for a long time, and you've been especially eager to visit Olympia. You'd expected to see glittering temples and impressive stadiums, but as you look around, all you see is a jumble of fallen columns and some wild olive trees. Is this really where the greatest athletes of the ancient world sought glory and honor on the playing field? The tour guide announces a break for taking pictures, and your group splits up and wanders off in different directions. You decide you want to look around by yourself and avoid Felix. He broke your camera on the first day of the trip, and ever since then, he's been a real pest. You walk off in the direction of a low hill. You know from your tour guide that this is the hill of Cronus. Spectators at the ancient Olympics stood on this hill to watch the athletic competitions. You figure it would be a good place for you to view the entire Olympic plain. As you climb, you notice what looks like the entrance to a cave up ahead. The opening is small, just big enough for you to walk through. You move closer and decide to take a look inside. Yeah, Felix. It's going to ruin everything. Is that Saturn in the picture? It could be. It's got some rings there. Yeah, we are Klingons. And there we are. That's a weird sun. Yeah. I guess that's our dad, right? I mean, assuming that's Felix there, and then yeah. Was that your dad or is that your uncle? If Felix is your cousin, I don't think it said. Probably doesn't have a name. Turn to page 2. We should probably go to the Cronus cave. Well, yeah. That's the god of time. Oh yeah, duh. Cronus. Of course it's a cave. A time cave. You walk into the darkness of the cave. Suddenly, you feel an icy chill that makes you shudder. A sharp wind blows sand into your face, and you cover your eyes from the stinging blast. Then, just as abruptly as they began, the wind and chill are gone. Maybe coming into the cave wasn't such a good idea. You turn around and walk back outside. But something's wrong. Instead of ancient ruins, you see a cluster of columned stone buildings at the base of the hill you just climbed. At the center of the Olympic plain, an ivory white temple gleams in the sun. It looks a lot like the Parthenon, the massive marble ruin you'd seen in Athens earlier in your trip. But this temple looks almost new. There are a dozen other buildings of various sizes, and the grounds between them look green and well cared for. Amazed, you turn back to look at the cave. The opening in the side of the hill has disappeared. What's happened? Is it possible that the cave has somehow transported you back to ancient Greece? Before you have a chance to look around some more, Two men dressed in togas approach you. You look down and discover that you're dressed the same way. Wow, that's amazing. Packard always talks about the well-kept yards. He sure does. There's no graffiti. Is their dad Magnum PI? Yeah, he looks kind of like that, huh? He's about to solve some criminal cases. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough. It gets everywhere. I must have gone back in time, obviously. All right, go on to the next page. Hurry, the bearded man on the left says to you. The procession to the Temple of Zeus is about to begin. He points to a large group of people gathered in the distance. Surely you don't want to miss it. You're excited at the chance to stay in ancient Greece, yet frightened. How will you get back to your own time? You see an entrance to a cave in the distance, but it looks quite different from the one you came through. Can you risk staying in ancient Greece for a while before trying to find your way home? Pants off, pants off. Take your pants off. Okay. If you decide to stay for the procession, turn to page 10. If you decide to investigate the cave entrance right away, turn to page 58. How are we just excited? I'm so excited about being stuck in ancient Greece. This is going to be great. No modern medicine. It's awesome. Yeah, how will we find honor and glory? Glory to the empire. How will we get to? How will we get, have our chance to go to Stavropol? I'm all about the procession. Yeah, I'm not going to go to the cave entrance just because it's a cave entrance doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, there's plenty of cave entrances around ancient Greece, I'm sure. Then I'll leave to the future. Yeah, I guess we'll do the procession. Unless someone thinks we should check out a cave entrance. Okay. You nod to the men in togas and begin making your way down the hill to where the athletes have gathered for the procession. As you walk, you notice that everyone seems to be having a lot of fun. A pair of jugglers toss apples high into the air as the watching crowd gasps in amazement. A smaller group surrounds a singer who strums a stringed lyre, and sings a song about Hercules. But wait, this is Greece, so wouldn't it be Heracles, not Hercules? No. Hercules was Roman. Okay. The music sounds tuneless to you, but you applaud with the others when the song is over, just to be polite. The ancient Olympics aren't nearly as solemn as you had thought. A peddler tries to sell you a wreath made from an olive branch, telling you, it's just like the ones to be won by the Olympic champions. You find it hard to believe that souvenirs were sold more than 2,000 years ago. The tour of Olympia is about to begin, a gray-haired man calls out. Come and see all the sights, and learn about the athletes that have made the Olympics famous, he cries. Mine is the only complete tour of Olympia. It might be helpful to find out more about the Olympics, and to learn your way around. But maybe you should continue on to where the athletes have gathered for the procession to the Temple of Zeus. Here we are. There's people juggling, and we're all having a great time. Good stuff. Guys playing the lyre. I'm great, get it straight. I fought Hercules. When I'm popping, I'm dropping imitator MCs. A leer and a player. Is that us? I think it is. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be us. Ready to enter the Olympics. You can tell, we're definitely been working out. Yep. So, should we head? So if we decide to take the tour of Olympia, turn to page 55. If you keep heading towards the procession, turn to page 68. So we can take that tour of Olympia to kind of find out where everything is. Or we can go to the procession. Procession. Okay, yeah, let's keep going to the procession. procession. Oh, hi, Beth. Page 68, the procession. 68. Is that right? That's the procession, right? Yeah. You arrive at a fountain just outside the Olympic grounds, where the athletes have formed into a long line. At the front of the group are stern-faced men in purple robes, who wear crowns of wild olive branches. They seem to be in charge, so you figure that these must be officials of some sort. One of the men waves and a fanfare of trumpets blares out. As you step back to join the large crowd that is gathered by the side of the road, the procession begins to move. Dozens of trumpeters file past, playing a stirring march. Next come the athletes, divided into groups according to the sport in which they will participate. First come the wrestlers and boxers. Then come the runners, looking tall and graceful. A group of strong-armed discus throwers marches by next, followed by teams of horses pulling chariots. As the next group approaches, a bald man standing near you says, "Why haven't you joined the procession to the temple of Zeus? Here come the youths now. Hurry, take your place." There must be some mistake, you think. Is this man confusing you with one of the athletes? You turn and see that a group of boys and girls really is approaching. Imagine being able to compete in the Olympics. All your friends back home would turn green with envy. You think that you might be able to slip into the procession without being noticed, but what will happen to you if somebody notices that you don't belong? With just a moment's hesitation, you step into the road and join the procession. And there we are, joining the procession. Youths. Yeah, you youths. You got to be those youths. All right, now we are in the Olympics. We're on our way. Page 76. The procession winds its way through Olympia. On either side of the road, cheering crowds chant the names of their city-states and their favorite athletes. As you walk by them, you feel proud to be taking part in such an important event. The procession stops as you reach the tallest and most impressive building on the Olympian field. It's the columned building you thought looked like the Parthenon. You look inside the building and see a gigantic statue of a seated god. This must be the temple of Zeus. One of the purple-robed men who had led the procession stands before the temple. He directs the athletes to take an oath, pledging to compete honestly and to the best of their ability. You raise your right hand and take the oath. The group of athletes begins to break up, but you're not sure what to do next. You see a boy about your age, and you decide to talk to him. After you introduce yourself, the boy tells you he is Athos, from the city-state of Phaeacia in northern Greece. Where do you come from? He asks. Americos, you say, after a moment's hesitation. Americos, says Athos. I've never heard of that city-state. Is it near Athens? No, you answer. It's in the west, over by Mexico's and Canada's. Go on to the next page. Yeah, he definitely bought that one. Athos shrugs and explains that he is on his way to register for the competition. I've come to Olympia to wrestle, he says. What are you here for? A dozen thoughts go through your head. What sport should you say? You're strong for your age. You might do very well at wrestling. But then again, you've always loved horses, and you'll surely never have had another chance to enter a chariot race. I mean, I don't know, you could go in a chariot someday. It's like not... I mean, you're a young kid in this book, so... I have varicose veins and have to wear special socks. My Greek name is Pathos. My Greek name is Tragodos. Oh, so are we doing? Yeah. So we're doing the So Valerie says chariot race.
I suspect that other people will have other choices.
I suspect that Rob will say wrestling. Wrestling, yeah. There's an echo in here. Race, chariot. Everyone's saying chariot race. I don't know, Rob. I think you got outvoted. I'm sorry.
We can circle back.
Yeah, we'll circle back. We'll do the chariot racing. It sounds exciting. I mean, I don't know if we're really that strong for our age. The pictures say otherwise. You're really strong for your age. Totally. Hi, Sarah. For chariot racing, you must head to the hippodrome, says Athos. He points in the direction of the racecourse, and you wish each other good luck as you part. As you walk, you pass hundreds of people who have come to the festival from all parts of Greece. Everyone seems to be talking about a different competition. Listening to their conversations, you can't help feeling excited about the chance to compete in the Olympics. Just as the hippodrome comes in sight, a huge parade of bulls forces you off the path. They're chained together in long double columns and are led by 4 very solemn-looking men in purple robes. Where are they going? You ask a woman standing by. The bulls are to be sacrificed, the woman replies. She explains that at the start of each festival, the Hellanodikai, high priests of Olympia, lead 100 bulls to the temple of Zeus. A sacred rite is held in front of the altar, and the bulls are killed to honor Zeus, the king of the gods. Later, the meat will be eaten at the victory celebrations, she adds. You remind yourself to make sure not to pass the temple of Zeus for the next few hours. You're sure it wouldn't do your appetite much good to see 100 bulls being slaughtered. When the last bull has passed, you walk a bit farther and arrive at the hippodrome, a rectangular dirt field flanked by a grassy embankment. Your heart begins to pound as you realize that this is where you'll be racing a chariot in just a few days. And here's the doomed bulls walking past you. That's kind of sad. All right, turn to page 36. They are pretty well decorated, though. That part's cool. This is how the sausage is made. Yeah, we don't have to watch them get butchered. I'm glad about that. Think of it as a Texas barbecue. At the near end of the racecourse, a crowd of people is standing in front of an open-air building. This must be the place to register for the chariot racing, you think. But when you ask where to find a chariot to drive in a race, the man at the registration desk starts to laugh. The chariot owners at Olympia selected their drivers months ago, he says. You can't enter a race now. Disappointed, you turn away from the desk. But just as you're about to leave, a man with a gray beard and a gold-striped toga calls you over to him. I am in great need, the man declares after you sit down next to him. You must help me. You ask the man how you can help him, and he continues, My name is Leon, and I come from Elis, not far from here. Leon, that's a good Greek name. The chariot I own was victorious at the last Olympics. A very wealthy and powerful man named Demonicus owned the chariot that finished second. After the race, some of his henchmen seized my beautiful daughter, Marissa, and carried her off. Demonicus swore that the only way I could get her back was to beat him again in the chariot race of the next festival. Otherwise, he will marry her and take her far away. Sounds like we are getting scammed. Leonicus. Yeah, that sounds better. We'll call him a Leonicus. Well, so Leon must be short for Leonicus. Right. Yeah, Demonicus, he seems like a good guy. Yeah. I don't know why we have to be worried about him. For 4 years I've waited to see Marissa again. I bought the finest horses and hired Nikos of Sparta, the most famous charioteer in the world. I spared no expense to make certain I would win the race the day after tomorrow. But Demonicus is very crafty. This morning I found out that Demonicus offered my charioteer 4 times the amount of money I was to pay him. Now he will race for Demonicus. Demonicus. Turn to page 95. Here. You think you read this one? Oh, hi, Jonah. I think you read this one as a cot. You don't have to pretend you read it as a child. You can admit that you read it, 2 years ago. It's okay. No one will judge you. Not Nikos of Sparta. Is he famous? It sounds familiar. Page 95, right? That's terrible, you say to Leon. But how can I help you? I am in an awful predicament, he answers sadly. If I compete fairly and race my own chariot against Nikos, I will surely lose. There's no way an old man like me could win against the best charioteer in the world. And all the best drivers have already agreed to race for other chariot owners. Although it shames me to say it, I'm afraid the only way to get my daughter back is to compete unfairly. Somehow I must win that race. The only way is to make sure Nikos loses. I think I can arrange that if I can get into the stables unnoticed and sabotage Demodocus' chariot. For the sake of my daughter, will you help me? You're not sure what to say. On the one hand, you understand why Leon is so desperate, but he wants to cheat, and that's wrong. On the other hand, it wasn't fair of Demodocus to seize Leon's daughter and then spoil Leon's chances of winning her back. Just then, another thought comes to you. Leon might be too old to race his chariot, but you certainly aren't. Why couldn't you enter the race? But wait a minute. You've never even ridden in a chariot before. What chance do you have of driving successfully against Nikos of Sparta? And if you lose, Leon will never see Marissa again. Maybe you should help to sabotage the chariot. But wait! Cheating is wrong! But no, let's keep going in circles. All right. If you want to help Leon sabotage Demodocus' chariot, turn to page 109. If you volunteer to ride for Leon, turn to page 8. Cheaters are no fun. Cheaters hurt someone. Yeah, we can become a master charioteer now. Oh, chariot cheater. Somehow I read that as charioteer, and I was like, no, that's not it. Oh man, this is a tough one. Well, so if you read this as a kid, do you remember all the right choices, Jonah? Ride for Leon. So Beth says we should ride for Leon. They both do seem good. I mean, sabotaging the chariot. But if they say something's wrong and it's not moral, then we'll get caught while we're trying to do it or something. We'll be in the middle of sabotaging the chariot, and then Demodocus will tie us up or something. I do not. Yeah, no. If you read it as a kid, some of these books I read as a kid, there was one I read. We read War with the Evil Power Master, and I'm pretty sure I read it as a kid, but I don't remember what. Well, that was 40 years ago. Well, a little less than 40 years ago, but still. Yeah, we'd better enter the race. Yeah, right. It's right on the cover. Right on the cover. We were in a chariot race, so us and what's his name? William Cap? Believe it or not. Believe it or not, we're in the chariot race. Alright, so we'll volunteer to ride for Leon. We drown just the same way. Oh, you just keep going deeper and deeper until you eventually it keeps giving you a chance to back out. And they're like, no. Starting to get nitrogen sickness or whatever, but no, keep going. Page 8. Wow, they really have to flip through a lot of pages here. Okay. What about letting me race your chariot, you would suggest? I may not be the best charioteer in the world, but I'm a fast learner. If you could teach me the basics, maybe with a little luck we'll win that race. Leon looks at you, smiling for the first time. You know, he says, his voice filled with hope, that just might work. My horses are very obedient and as swift as the wind. It shouldn't be too difficult to turn you into a driver. Anyway, it's our only hope of saving Marissa. Leon leads you past the hippodrome to the stables. He opens the door to one of them, and you go inside. There, in adjoining stalls, are 4 of the biggest and most beautiful stallions you've ever seen. They're pure white, with proud faces and strong, muscular bodies. The horses whinny softly as Leon approaches. They run like panthers, but are as gentle as kittens, Leon says, feeding a handful of straw to one of the stallions. The horse nestles against him and nudges him with his nose. Aw. Come, Leon says to you. Let's take the horses outside and teach you something about chariot racing. Okay. Does this writer have a thing for these horses? Yeah, it seems like it. They are big, proud, powerful, pure white. Sounds like... I don't know. It's still the 1980s here, so some weird stuff going on. Turn to page 18. Maybe this will turn into Kittens in the Kitchen. Maybe. Because he wrote that too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. After you and Leon have bridled the horses, you pulled the chariot out from its storage compartment in the stable. Storage compartment? I thought chariots were big. Okay. The chariot is nothing more than a low, three-sided cart mounted on a set of small wheels. It looks awfully flimsy to you. Are you sure this chariot can win, you ask? Don't worry, Leon assures you. I built it myself. You hitch the stallions to the chariot and climb inside. Leon leads you out to the hippodrome, where other chariot drivers have begun to practice. This is the starting gate, Leon says, pointing to a V-shaped structure at one end of the course. In front of the gate is an altar with a bronze eagle on it. Tomorrow, each of the chariots will take its place in one of the gate's compartments with a rope stretched across its front. When the race is about to start, a trumpet will sound and the eagle will fly upward. Then the ropes in the starting gate will be released and the race will begin. In order to finish the race, Leon explains, you must drive the chariot up and down the course and around the center poles at each end 24 times. Turn to page 24. We are definitely getting scammed. When he told us not to worry, and it's no problem, that's when we need to start to worry. Yeah, if we had some engineering skills, we could improve the chariot and change history. Okay. You spend all that day learning how to control the horses and steer the chariot. The small chariot seems as reliable as Leon claimed, and the white stallions are swift and obedient. With a little more practice, you just might be a match for Nikos of Sparta. Late in the afternoon, you and Leon lead the horses to the stable. A small group of men is blocking the entrance. All of them look mean, but one looks far meaner and more sinister than the rest. He has a bald head and dark, glaring eyes. Demonicus, Leon whispers to you. Oh no, it's Demonicus. Yeah, we haven't really been able to, you're right, Joan, really haven't been able to make that many choices so far. Well, we only have 16 endings in this one, so some of them have a lot more. But, we haven't died yet, so we haven't got killed in a hideous, gruesome way. So we got that going for us. As you try to pass, Demonicus starts to laugh. Is this the best you could do, Leon? He says. You don't seriously expect to win that race tomorrow, with a kid driving your chariot. He gives another horrible laugh. If there's one thing you really hate, it's being called young. Go ahead and laugh, you shout. We'll see who's laughing when I finish first tomorrow. Demonicus fixes his hard, icy stare on you. You'll be lucky, kid, if you finish it all. You lead the chariot inside, the sound of Demonicus's laughter fading into the distance. We'd better keep watch over the horses in the chariot tonight, Leon says. Demonicus was expecting me to drop out of the race, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries again to keep us from competing. Together you decide that Leon will stand guard for the first half of the night, and you'll keep watch for the second. After a quick dinner, you sleep for several hours in the athletes' quarters. When you wake up, you head back to the stable to relieve Leon. It tells you that all is well. Go on to the next page. For the next hour, you don't hear a sound other than the horses breathing. It's after 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're still pretty tired. You really like to get some more sleep, but it's important to be rested. It's important to be rested for the race. Surely if Demodocus and his men were going to try anything, they'd have come by now. Even if they were to come while you were sleeping, you're pretty sure you'd hear them and wake up. But what if you didn't? Maybe it's better to force yourself to stay awake. If you decide to get a little more sleep, turn to page 97. If you try your hardest to stay awake, turn to page 85. Yeah, so we stay up all night before we have to compete in the Olympics. That should work out. Do not go to sleep. And they didn't have caffeine or, they didn't have coffee back then, so I'm assuming that would be the only source of caffeine back then. Wow, it's crazy to think they didn't have coffee. I mean, I guess they had tea, right? But that has some caffeine. So pretty much everyone's saying stay awake. So sounds like we need to stay awake. Either way, you're not winning anything, my dude. Yeah. Who are we kidding ourselves? Who are we kidding? We're kidding ourselves. Oh no, we don't want those proud, pure white horses to get killed. Proud, strong, agile, graceful, beautiful horses. So beautiful. Right. You try every trick you know in order to keep from falling asleep. Whistling your favorite songs, running in place, counting to 1,000. Finally, the sky begins to lighten. In only another couple of hours, the chariot race will begin. In the meantime, you decide to remember all 50 states. But just as you're trying to remember which state is south of South Dakota, you hear footsteps and some whispering outside the stable. You leap to your feet and crouch down behind a pile of hay. The door to the stable creaks open, and the footsteps draw closer. Over the top of the hay, you see 2 men approaching. One has long black hair and a shaggy beard. The other has short curly hair and a jagged scar on his left cheek. You recognize them at once. 2 of Demodocus's henchmen. Without a word, the men walk towards the compartment where the chariot is stored and pull it into the open. Then the scarred man takes something out from under his toga. It looks like a crude wrench. With it, he removes the pins that hold the chariot's wheels in place. He tosses them into a dark corner of the stable. Then he replaces the pins with another set the other man has handed to him. What's going on, you wonder? I don't understand. What are they doing? I'm so confused. Oh my god, sabotage. Sabotage. Yeah, we'll probably get our throat slit. I'm pretty sure. According to a Red Bull commercial, that you saw about Daedalus, they did have Red Bull. Oh, okay. Well, we know that Red Bull will give you wings, so there we go. What's going on? I don't know. They are doing some sabotage to the wheels. Right, turn to page 72. The old wax pin trick, says the bearded man, giving a low chuckle. Does it really work? Every time, the man with the scar replies. After a few minutes of racing, the pins melt, and off fly the wheels. It's too bad Demodocus wants to stick around for the race, says the first man. He might as well leave Olympia with Marissa tonight. There's no way now that Leon and his driver are going to win. You're horrified by what you hear. But as the 2 men put the chariot away, something one of them said registers within your mind. The bearded man says that Demodocus should leave Olympia right away with Marissa. That means Leon's daughter is somewhere on the Olympic grounds. If you follow the 2 men, maybe they'll lead you to Marissa. But will you be able to rescue her all by yourself, you wonder? From what you know of Demodocus, you shudder to think what he would do if he caught you. And what if the men don't lead you to Marissa? You might miss the chariot race and give up any chance of winning her back. Maybe it would be better to put the chariot back to the way it was and surprise Demodocus by finishing the race. Maybe in first place. If you decide to follow the men, turn to page 19. If you think it's better to stay at the stable, turn to page 108. Got sabotage going on. Getting your wish, Valerie. What's your wish for us to have the chariot crash during the race? So follow. So Valerie says follow. That says stay at the stable. Following the men is clearly going to get people killed, so we better follow them. So we should follow them? Go rescue Marissa? Alright, I guess everyone wants us to follow them. Oh, so Jonah, you're saying to stay? Think we should stay? So it's kind of split down the middle. Anyone else have an opinion on whether we should stay or follow the men? Rachel plays this game the way I do. Okay, so should we follow them? Okay. Or we'll follow them. See what happens. We can rescue her all by ourselves, right? We're strong. We said so earlier when we were thinking of doing the wrestling, that we're pretty strong. As soon as the two men have left the stable, you tiptoe to the door, unlatch it as quietly as you can, and slip outside. You hide behind a pillar until the men get about 20 yards away. Then, trying your hardest not to make a sound, you start to follow them. You trail the men past the hippodrome and in the direction of the hill of Cronus. You're relieved to see that most of the time they're talking to each other. They're not paying much attention to anything else. The sun is rising. In the distance, a number of people have awoken at their campsites on the hill. Most of the spectators at the Olympic festivals have to sleep outdoors. Only the athletes and very wealthy visitors are allowed to spend the night inside on the Olympic grounds. At last, the two men reach the base of the hill of Cronus, and you're certain it won't be long before you know where Demonicus is hiding Leon's daughter. Then something happens which makes your stomach sink. The men wave goodbye to each other and head off in opposite directions. The man with the long black hair and shaggy beard starts to walk up the hill, while the man with the curly hair and the scarred cheek turns back towards the Olympian plain. Which one will lead you to Marissa? If your ESP tells you to follow the bearded man, turn to page 65. If your ESP is telling you that you need to follow the man with the scar, turn to page 9. I'm just joking, you don't have an ESP in this book, but if you did, your ESP would still leave it up to you because your ESP would be pretty useless. So follow the scarred dude. Maybe we can rescue her and win the race. We can do all of it. Have it all. Only very special people get to sleep in that barn. That's true. Yeah, follow Scarface. Follow the man with the scar. Okay. Follow Scarface. Oh yeah, we'll rescue her, and then, see this cover here? We'll both be in the chariot, see? See how that works? We ride in the chariot together. Does she get a whip too, or is it just us? That's kind of cool that we got the whip. That's why the horse is, like, his eyes are all wide. Forgot about that. It's not. Alright. Yeah, he's obviously the leader. Yeah, we'll share the whip. You step behind some bushes and wait until the man with the scar passes you. He walks briskly, back in the direction of the Temple of Zeus, then turns right. You're glad to see that a number of people have come down from the hill onto the Olympian plain. Now you can follow the scarred man closely without him suspecting. He leads you to a long, columned building, which you saw on your tour. It's the Leonidaeum, where the wealthy Olympic visitors stay. Yeah, Leonidaeum, yep. It makes sense that Demonicus would hold Marissa there, you think. After all, he wouldn't want to keep her out in the open where she might escape. And if he was able to hire Nikos of Sparta away from Leon, he certainly must be rich enough to afford a room or two in the Leonidaeum. A guard stands at the gates to the building. He nods as the man with the scar approaches. Then he opens the gates, lets the man pass through. How are you going to get past the guard, you wonder? Maybe you could pretend to be a messenger and try to trick the guard into letting you into the Leondadam. But what if he doesn't believe you? Maybe you'd be better off searching for another way into the building. Yeah, think like a kidnapper. Say that you've kidnapped someone too. I'm here to kidnap somebody. I just kidnapped them earlier. I got them, tucked away somewhere in this building here. Yeah. If you attempt to trick the guard by pretending to be a messenger, turn to page 52. If you decide to look for another way in, turn to page 42. Yeah. Doing the dumbest things leads to undeserved success, just like real life. Very true, Rachel. Yeah, you gotta think like a kidnapper. Subterfuge. Yeah, cheating's wrong, but lying's okay. Oh, for sure, we'll trick the guard. That'll work, yeah. I'll try tricking the guard. That might work. Page 52. What if he asks us what the message is? It's like I'm here with a message. Okay, I'll take the message. You don't know much about messengers. You don't know much about how messengers are supposed to act, but you think the best thing would be to look as if you're in a terrific hurry to deliver the message. So once you've thought of something to say, you race towards the guard. I have a message for Demonicus, sir, you say in your most serious-sounding voice. I've run all night long, and I must deliver it at once. The guard looks you over, as if trying to decide whether to trust you. Demonicus, you say. Well, he's already left for the Hippodrome. The chariot race is to begin soon. Is Marissa with Demonicus? Or is she somewhere inside the Leondadam, you wonder? Somehow you've got to find out. There are too many people at the Hippodrome, you say. It might take me hours to find Demonicus. Is there anyone in his room that I can leave my message with? The guard thinks for a moment. I'm pretty sure that one of Demonicus's friends just went inside, he says. And then there's that girl he arrived with a couple of days ago. You know, I haven't seen her leave this building since the start of the festival. You're certain the guard is talking about Marissa. Now you've simply got to get inside. Ah, yes, his handmaiden. She can be trusted, you say slyly. Can you tell me where his room is? I can't waste any time in delivering this message. Very well, the guard replies, and he gives you instructions. Then he opens the gates, and you rush into the Leondadam. Turn to page 86. Oh, this guy's definitely getting fired. We're really crushing this. Not killed yet, I can't believe it. Last week was terrible with the last book. We just kept getting killed or almost getting killed. Page 86. You head down a long corridor, and soon you're before Demonicus's door. But how are you going to rescue Marissa, you wonder? The scar-faced man is much bigger than you, so you wouldn't be much of a match for him in a fight. And you can't let him see you because he might recognize you from the Hippodrome. There must be some way to outwit him. Just then you have an idea. If you can lure the man out of the room, maybe you can distract him and rush inside to rescue Marissa. It's a desperate plan, but it just might work. You take a clay urn from a pedestal in the hallway. Then you knock on Demonicus's door and hide behind a pillar. A moment later, you hear footsteps on the other side of the door, then the sound of the door opening. The man mutters something under his breath when he discovers that no one is there. Just then, you take the urn and hurl it to the floor. It shatters with a terrible crash. Turn to page 90. Oh, I thought we were going to hit the man with the urn, but then we just kind of didn't. As you'd hoped, the man starts to investigate. When he passes the pillar, you rush out, shove him to the ground, and race into the room, bolting the door behind you. Wait, if this guy's a lot stronger and bigger than you, how is it that you were able to just shove him to the ground? But okay. So when he passes the pillar, you rush out, shove him to the ground, and race into the room, bolting the door behind you. A beautiful woman with long brown hair is sitting by the window, a frightened look on her face. It's Marissa. I come from your father, you say quickly. Marissa's face lights up. There's no time to explain any further. The man with the scar is already pounding on the door. Quick, out the window, you say. A moment later, the two of you are outside and rushing towards Leon's stable. Couldn't she have done that all that time, basically, then? Like, couldn't she have just, like, jumped out the window herself? But, okay. A moment later, the two of you are outside and rushing towards Leon's stable. Just then, a fanfare of trumpets rings out. It's the signal for the chariots to gather at the hippodrome for the start of the race. Suddenly, a horrible thought occurs to you. What if Leon has decided to drive his own chariot in the race? We'd better hurry, you say. There's not a second to lose. And there's the guy. He was much bigger and stronger, but we knocked him to the ground. We showed him. We turn to page 98, but I'm going to just drink some water. So it goes totally dry. Marissa looks like a stained glass window. Well, it is like, Greek myth and things like that, so that probably happened to someone where they just turned into a... people would turn into stained glass windows all the time back then. Yeah. Yeah, that chariot is going to kill somebody. That chariot is going to jill someone? Is that... it's going to jill someone. I hope not. Alright, page 98. A quick look inside the stables when you and Marissa arrive confirms your worst fear. Both Leon and the horses are gone. You guess that when Leon came back to the stable and didn't find you, he assumed you deserted him, or even that you were kidnapped. He didn't want to waste his one chance at winning back his daughter, so he decided to drive the chariot himself. Oh no. But Leon doesn't know that Demonicus' henchmen have tampered with the chariot's wheels. Unless you can get to him, something awful will happen. Marissa deserves to know of the danger to her father, so you quickly explain. But just as you finish, you hear a familiar voice calling your name. It can't be. Sure enough, it is. Your cousin Felix is running straight towards you. How did he get here? You don't even have to ask. I saw you go into the cave, so I decided to follow, Felix explains, out of breath. Then I couldn't find you, and someone asked me to enter one of the running contests. And look, he points to the olive branch crown on his head. I won. Okay. If your friend here is so fast, Marissa says excitedly, maybe the two of you can run to the hippodrome before the race starts. You're not so sure about Marissa's idea. Speed is crucial, but can you trust him to help save Leon? Or will he just get in the way as usual? Maybe you should just run to the hippodrome yourself instead. If he takes Felix along, turn to page 25. If you try to save Leon yourself, turn to page 46. Like, all this time I'm thinking, like, why did they even, like, mention Felix in the beginning of the story if he, like, never comes up again? Like, right? Because they don't introduce characters for no reason. Like, you don't introduce extra characters and then, like, never use them. So, alright. Well, that mystery is solved. He'll break Leon's camera again. Somehow we have, like, a second camera, and he'll break that one, too. I mean, Felix, he's fast, but he's not strong like we are. Chekhov's Felix. Alright, so I guess we're letting Felix go with us. Alright. That's up to you, Felix. Don't let us down. Don't break anything this time, okay? It's all riding on you now. Page 25. Okay, Felix, you say. Let's go. Marissa wishes you luck, and the two of you start to run towards the hippodrome, following the path you'd driven along the day before. After a few minutes of sprinting, the racecourse comes into view. But before you arrive at the entrance, the last chariot enters the hippodrome, and the gate slams shut behind it. Now look what's happened, you shout at Felix, certain that somehow it's his fault. I never should have brought you along. Your mind is racing, and you desperately look for a way inside. Hey, I've got an idea, Felix shouts. Before you can say another word, your little cousin has squeezed through the bars of the gate. Felix, that's great. Now open the gate for me. The chariots are nearing the starting line. There's no time to spare. Felix struggles with the heavy metal latch. Hurry, you cry. We're running out of time. The seconds it takes Felix to raise the latch seem like hours. Finally, he pulls open the gate wide enough for you to slip through. Now wait here, you cry, as you race for the V-shaped starting gate. Turn to page 51. As a woman, Marissa can't do anything to help at any point, right? Well, but she's not even supposed to be there in the Olympic Games, right? I mean, she could be there to, like, watch, I guess, and spectate. I mean, she's a woman. She can't really help in any meaningful way. That would be crazy. She can't, like, even rescue herself. All right, turn to page 51. Page 51. Right. Yeah, Felix did help us, so... Yeah, we're kind of jerky, I gotta admit. You run alongside the course, determined to reach Leon before the race starts, before the race begins. Already you can see the trumpeter in position next to the starting gate. Your muscles strain as you try to run even faster. You shout Leon's name as loud as you can, but the cheers of the crowd drown your cries. The chariots are all in place when you get to one end of the starting gate. You turn and run to Leon's stall. Just as you arrive behind his chariot, the trumpet blares. The race is on. There's no time for you to think. As the horses bolt from the stall, you jump aboard the chariot and grab the reins from Leon's hands. Leon looks at you in disbelief. The chariot's been sabotaged, you yell. You veer off the course and rein in the horses. Just then, one wheel of the chariot falls off. You and Leon tumble to the ground, but neither of you is hurt. Demonicus's men put wax pins in the chariot's wheels. I didn't have a chance to fix them, because I went to look for Marissa, you explained to Leon. Marissa, Leon cries. Where is she? Is she all right? Well, here we are with Leon. Wow, it's a lot of dust around us. Bless the rain. I bless the rains down an ancient Greece. Okay. Yeah, we're doing like everything. Wow, it's pretty exciting. Page 66. Follow me, you say, and, dodging around the racing chariots, you lead him safely out of the hippodrome. You watch happily as Leon is reunited with his daughter. I will see to it that Demonicus is brought to justice, Leon promises. Marissa and I will go straight to the Temple of Zeus to talk to the chief Olympic priest. The remains of my chariot and our testimony should be enough to convince the priest of Demonicus's guilt. You say goodbye to your friends. As they start off towards the Temple of Zeus, you hear Felix calling you. You'd forgotten all about him. He asks you where you're going. To look for the cave, you say. It's definitely time to try to get back home. Want to come? Sure, Felix replies. Let's go. The end. Oh, I need another drink of water for that one. Oh. Well, that was a very happy ending. That's like probably the best ending we could possibly have. Very, very happy ending. Thanks, Jonah. Crushed it. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to get a better ending than that. Like, that's perfect, you know? That's really good. It was fun to say the word Demonicus over and over again. That was interesting. Like, it was like so obvious that he was the bad guy. I mean, yeah, that was a good ending. Can't believe it. Yeah, that was like the only ending that we got to, and it was like the best. Yeah, that might be the best ending we ever had. I agree. I agree. That was a very good ending. Well, we didn't get to the wrestling. I don't know if Rob's still here, but sorry we didn't get to the wrestling, Rob. That was like probably a whole other story. Maybe that was like a fake story where like you go to the wrestling and they tell you that like you're too small, and then you just like head back to the chariot racing instead. But I'm strong. No, you're not, kid. Don't try to kid yourself. Oh, you heard him say he was out of here if there wasn't going to be any wrestling? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so, but you know what? I think I'm gonna stop here because like, there's no way I'm gonna get a better ending than that. Like, we're just not gonna get anything better than that. You know, I think we can all agree that that's the case. So, yeah, this was a fun one. We're still in the 80s at this point. We kind of jump around a little bit. I think last week was one of the newer ones from like 2011 or something, because they relaunched the series. Well, they relaunched it, but it was an older title. But I think they might have like updated it a little bit. But anyways, yeah, was wrestling on the cover? No, it wasn't. But I'm sure it was there somewhere. There was a lot of other things in here, so I'm sure that was that was our other option, either wrestling or horse racing, chariot racing. So, but yeah, so yeah, I guess I'm going to stop here also because my voice is like getting a little scratchy already. But yeah, so that was good. So but yeah, I thank you all for watching and you know, spending an hour with me while I read this Choose Your Own Adventure book, and we'll be back as usual next Tuesday at 8 o'clock to read a different Choose Your Own Adventures. So yeah, so are you welcome, Beth? Are you welcome, Rachel? Yeah. All right. So I'll see you guys later, and hope you all have a good week. Take care.